Welcome, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining another live Raw and Reborn Mamas episode. Today we have a very special guest, but before we get into that, I definitely want to share a little bit about what we're doing here and the movement we are starting here. So, Raw and Reborn Mamas educates women and mothers on the healing power of fruit as a lifestyle. Not a fad, not a temporary diet, but a species specific way of life. Because a human is a frugivore, and frugivores eat fruit. So we really take this seriously. And my favorite quote growing up and being plant-based for over 9 years before going raw now was, let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine thy food. But I've changed that because this is the only thing that makes sense. Let thy fruit be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy fruit. So good health is not accidental. It's planned, cultivated, and something that you need to commit to for a lifestyle. So we don't chase health, we're talking about embodying it. Because true healing is not external, it starts from the inside and out. And speaking of which, our special guest today, Slava Nnajike, she is such a bold powerhouse. She is so inspiration. And she, to me, in my opinion, just her being a mother and doing this lifestyle is such a great work of her leadership. And before she comes on, I just want to take a moment of gratitude to give thanks to the creator, the big God, the source, the universe, whatever you believe in. Something had to create this. So let's just take a moment of silence to give thanks to the creator for having all of us here at this time. Zinuru. Okay, Slava, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and saying yes. Thank you for taking the time to share your story and your courage and honesty. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, thank you as well for inviting me. It's always a pleasure and a great honor to talk to other mamas, or not only mamas, but people who are on their path to become responsible for their health and for their life in general. So, yeah, thank you for having me here. And I'm feeling great, just as a raw vegan powered by fruits mostly can feel. There is nothing
Absolutely.
else.
Yes, yes. Woo! I'm so excited. I just want to jump in right away with your birthing story. I'm just gonna
Let's
jump in because I know I've watched like almost all your interviews. So I'm like, I'm like, I know this, I know that. But so many of our audience never thought this would be even possible. One, eating all fruits, and then two, having a baby with it. And I know your first child, you had, the standard way of living as far as eating, as well as going through that system in the hospital versus your last two, all raw home births. Like, take us through both those dynamics.
Yeah. Okay. So I really like when I do something, I like taking it to the limits. Like, so when I was like system oriented, I was completely system oriented and I went like all in. So when I went for my first labor in a hospital, like before that, I was just like a normal thinking person. You know, you go to school, you go to university, you get a good job, you get a mortgage, you pay the mortgage, you know, have a child or two in the hospital, and just retire. That's it. And um, like I got a hot slap from the universe when I went to the hospital. And when I say that I like taking things to the limits, is because when I went to before I went there, I asked everybody around me like, who is the best doctor I can have there? So they advised me the best doctor. But you know that the best doctor is actually the worst doctor because it is the one that is going to make like the most interventions into the process. Mm, because like the best doctors are driven by ego, and their ego says that they know better. than your body, and then the nature, and then the universe, God, however you want to call it, they know it better. So yeah, I went to the hospital. I was pretty healthy, like no health issues, just like standard pregnancy issues like swollen legs and nothing serious. So I went there without any fear. Like I also have very high acceptance of pain. So I
Mm.
was not scared of the labor, like it's going to pain or whatever. I went there like happy person, but they made one intervention and that led to another intervention and another and another and another. And after, I don't know, 18 hours, I was feeling like it's either you push this baby out of my belly now or I'm going to pass out. It was terrible.
Oh
Like
gosh.
physically, emotionally, mentally, I was, after they finally pushed the baby out, and they were using all of the procedure. For example, in my country, it is basically forbidden. After I read this, like how they are supposed to do things,
Mm.
like pushing on your belly while, like during the labor, like the actual labor phase, is not allowed unless there is like something terrible already happening and they need to push the baby. But they did it. They were
Mm.
like, close your eyes, and they did it. And a lot of things like that. So after the labor, I was feeling like abused, raped, and I don't know, like it was terrible. But
Yeah.
I started thinking about it, like, how did this happen to me? Like, I was pretty healthy, I was feeling well, like, no fear, my mindset was okay before I went there. And I realized that I started reading online right that day. Also, for sure, the bonding with the baby was not the way it should be because I was not feeling well, right? I was just happy that it's over. And I found out that the doctor did this one intervention in the beginning. And I asked him when he came to visit, like after 2 days, I managed to be calm because I didn't want him to be suspicious that I didn't like it. And I was like, hey, doctor, tell me, did you do this to help this my labor? And he was even proud of himself. And he said, yes, I did. Like, and now you see the. And I just started shouting at him and he left. And what was like even more frustrating for me was that my ex-husband, my husband at that time, hey, are we here?
Oh, I don't know what happened. Julia, are you drawing for your children?
Yeah, mm, maybe.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, my ex-husband went and paid, like, because in my country it's like a very common that you give a bribe to a doctor after.
What?
So in despite of me telling him, hey, this is what happened,
Yeah.
he went there and, hey, someone else is drawing. So yeah, it was really, the experience was tough, and it left me with so many questions after. And that was, but after 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 time, as a time is passing by, I see it as a great opportunity for me to learn not only about medical system and how it works, but also it was like a starting point for me to become responsible for my health, for my body, for my eventually labors, and and baby. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That
So
is terrible. That is a terrible hospital experience, especially when we're just taught to trust the doctor because, they went to school for this and they know what they're doing and, just stay ignorant basically is what they're telling us to do. and just put all your trust in the medical system. Because I've heard plenty of horror stories from hospitals, and I've heard like, oh, it wasn't that bad, but the that bad is like they gave them an epidural and they did a C-section. And to me, that's horrible.
I
But we're just,
honestly,
uh,
before before I heard a lot of terrible stories, but I was always thinking to myself, like, I think these women are just exaggerating. There is no
mm,
way a human being will do something like that to another human being. Women are just too sensitive, and that's what I was thinking till I experienced it myself. And what I realized is that there are two types of women after the labor in the hospital,
mm,
apart from those who really had like a okay labor that cannot complain, but there are very few of them. But there are two types of women. First one realized that something uh, like things that happened were not okay, and they are trying to talk about it with their like people around themselves, but those people cannot help, so they just shut them down. Like,
yeah.
oh, this is normal, just let it be.
Hmm.
And but the most amazing is the other part, the other group, and those are women that are actually going to thank the doctors and will say, if not the doctor, me and my baby are going to die.
Yes.
But they are not aware that if not the doctor, the situation that caused them to be close to death is not even going to happen.
Right.
Because since then, I met so many women that gave birth at home, alone or with midwives or doulas, and I have not heard one terrible story.
Facts. Same.
Even if
Same.
there are like a little complications, they are handled with patience, understanding, compassion to woman, to the process, to baby. And in the end of the day, it's just amazing healing, transformative experience, just
Yes.
like mine two labors were after.
Yes. And I think what you said is so important because I say this too. It's like creating the fire that burns down the house and puts the house into flames. And then all of a sudden, they created the fire department now. But they're the ones who set the house on fire and they created the rescuers to come and put it out. But if they never would have set the house on fire, you wouldn't need someone to come put it out. So they absolutely do that in the hospitals in my opinion, I feel for women because especially when you look at it from a holistic perspective, it's like just going into that hospital room, it's like you feel this weight, like this bad energy just from being in the room. And then you look at the bed and the tools and all the things that they're prepping for, right? And with the leg clamps like up, like completely working against gravity. And it's just like that whole experience, it just
And the
feels
lights.
wrong. And the bright lights, yeah, it just feels so wrong. And I gave birth at home. I was gonna do it at a birthing center, but they said I went over my due date and I wasn't willing to get induced and I wasn't willing to do any of that. I just said the baby will come out, whenever. And I feel exactly the way you felt. Like I had such an amazing first birth experience, just being at home, being able to birth in any position, nobody rushing me, no bright lights, nobody forcing me, like all of these things. It's like I didn't have to think about nothing. After the baby was born, I went to my bed and the baby's just like on me. Like so, it was like, this is how all women should feel and experience. But I get it. Everyone, we're brainwashed pretty much.
I was really brainwashed, so I experienced the opposite for the first like my labor. But at least I can compare and I can tell them, because if you tell me 10 years back that you want to give birth at home, I would be thinking that you went crazy and that you are putting yourself and baby at risk and all of these, things that people tend
Yeah.
to say. I was there. So now I can compare.
So let's hear about the other side now. So your other two raw vegan pregnancies and birthing stories. Let's hear about that.
So yeah, after this my first labor, basically all of my relationships crushed. As I
Mhm.
mentioned with my ex-husband, he was not perceiving things that happened the way I was, and he was just trying to shut me down. Also, my father and some other relatives were not understanding where I was coming from at that time because I started questioning a lot of things, not only the medical system, but also the diets, also the mindset, like just work, 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 don't enjoy, just work, hustle, hustle.
Yeah.
And this is my father, for example. And I started questioning this because I was really close to that during the labor. And I was like, so what am I going to have from this life if I am just going to hustle for 40 years? What
Yeah.
if I die tomorrow? So, yeah. And then I eventually went raw vegan, and that made things even worse because that was like, you are going to kill yourself, you are going to kill the kid because the kid was living with me at that time.
Wow.
Um, but for me, it was like, it was an inner calling. I had to do it. There was no other chance. For sure, it was very challenging, but after some time, the way I was feeling and the way I felt that I was finally becoming responsible for my body and that I know what I'm doing and I know how to heal and how to handle like different situations, it was like I can't go back.
Yeah.
And I also started feeding my son at that time the same way, but they managed to rescue him from me because we were raw vegan, despite the fact that he was like the healthiest child around. And but as I mentioned, in my country, like bribes are a thing, and my father is a very wealthy individual, so they bribed the court, and my ex-husband got the custody over the son.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but after some time, he came to me and he said, "Do you know what I realized?" And I was like, "No, I don't know." Because when he took him and he had the custody, he went to doctors because he wanted to prove that something was wrong with the child since he was raw
Mm.
vegan. So he
Mm.
went to gastro doctors and this and this and that. And he said, I met my classmates from high school and university there with their kids, and they were telling me like what struggles they have with their kids. And then they asked me, so why are you here? And I had to say that, like, my child is healthy. I'm just here because, he was feeling like
Stupid.
retarded. Yes, because he realized like what people are experiencing with their kids, and our child was healthy, like 100% healthy. So I told him, okay, so now you have the opportunity to go back to the court and say, hey, I was wrong. And he said that no, I'm not going to do that. So I was like, okay. It was not, I didn't push this situation because he allowed us to meet as much as possible and things like that. It was not like he was trying to cut me off completely. I was like, okay, if this is how it's supposed to be, let it be this way. So I also learned how to surrender
Mm.
because there are things we need to experience during our lifetime. And that might be like the toughest experience for me, but I went through it. And now, with the time, I see that this human being, this soul of my son, he is here to experience his own path. And this is his path. He's here to be with those people. He needs to experience that. Comparing to that, my two girls were born already after I was raw vegan. No one is trying to take them away from me,
Yeah, that's
hopefully.
okay.
And so the second labor happened when I was already like 2 years raw vegan, and I was very aware of my body and the processes and everything. So, and not only about the physiology, but also the mindset. And I knew that giving birth at home is like the only choice for me. But I still had midwife. I don't know. Did you have like anyone around you?
I had a doula, but
Okay, so
she was over the phone. It was physically there, it was just me and my husband. That's it.
great. I also had like a midwife. who was supposed to come, but then the COVID came and they closed the borders. And I was not living in Slovakia at the time, but behind the borders in Hungary, and they closed the borders. And I was like, okay, so maybe this is a sign that I should be alone. So yeah, I gave birth alone that time. And the third one was, but it was a little bit awkward because it was the first time I was alone. But the third one was already like, I knew I wanted to be alone. I didn't even plan to have anyone around. Even my husband, I sent him like, go and prepare juice for me, please. I locked myself in the room. I put there a lot of pillows, turn off the light. And the third one was, I really wish for every woman on this planet to experience something like that. There is one thing I want to mention, and that was I only had like this midwife on the phone, and I called her because when I was already in this state of being where you can't use your logical brain, you are just in these animal instincts. I couldn't talk, I couldn't speak English, and I needed someone to talk to in my native language. So I called the midwife, and I was saying something about pushing, and she said, why, like, pushing for what? You don't push, you just allow your body to do what it needs to do and the baby to come. I was like, oh wow, that's a brilliant idea. So I didn't do anything. I was just breathing, inhale, exhale, enjoying the process, and the baby was born by itself.
No
So
pushing.
no pushing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like lie number one that they tell us. Push, now push. And that's why all of those injuries.
The ripping happens. Wow.
You don't have to push. Like there is no reason to push. And
I
yeah, you don't need to get the baby out of the the labor waste
yeah.
ASAP because the baby is not breathing yet. It can stay there for an hour. It's not like once it enters or once it leaves the uterus, it needs to be out within 2 seconds. It's just the medical system again. You
Hmm.
have to push,
They're
push.
playing on our ignorance because if you don't know, how are you going to argue with someone that says you have to do it like this? But you've educated yourself, plus you have experience, so you are at that point where yeah, your body knows a lot of things. And I want to know, what were you eating also during your raw vegan pregnancies, and what were you eating on the other side of your non-raw vegan pregnancies? And did you, like you mentioned swollen feet before, did you experience that on the raw side? Like walk us through that comparative side.
Yes, so I was eating quite healthy. Even the first pregnancy, I was always eating some fruits, some vegetables. Even if I eat like cheese, I will put a salad on the side. So it was not like a standard American diet like you guys have, like hamburgers and pizza and fries. So let's say that it was 50-50. 50% raw, 50% meat and cheese and whatever, and donuts maybe a little bit. But I was drinking a lot of water. And water is what causes the like swollen legs. Because another lie, you have to drink a lot of water. Lie, lie, lie. Well, if you eat cooked food, you need to drink some water, but definitely not the amounts they are trying to sell us that
Mm.
we need to drink. That's why my legs were swollen. I was also experiencing heartburn, mm, and I don't know, just the overall experience comparing to raw vegan pregnancy was different. I didn't have any terrible issues during the first one, but when you compare it to raw vegan pregnancy, it's just like
Right.
incomparable.
Right.
When my body was powered by juicy fruits, when I went raw vegan, I stopped drinking water. So that's, but my body is hydrated. With
Right.
I recently added like 1 cup of water in the morning. I'm kind of experimenting with this. But during the second raw vegan pregnancy, I was thinking about it, and I drank maybe like 1 liter of water through 9 months.
Yeah.
Because you eat watermelon, you eat
Right.
cucumbers, apples, all of these juicy fruits. So water for what? You have structured water from fruits.
I love that. Water for what? Yes, eat your water. You are eating your water, so that makes sense. And I get completely dehydrated when I try to drink like any type of bottled glass water, tripled osmosis, reverse this, reverse like it doesn't matter how clean it is or whatever. I've even gone to my country in St. Lucia where they have natural waterfalls. And I tried drinking the water over there too, and it was still dehydrating. But when I find that when I eat my water too, like you say, like that's when I feel the most hydrated.
Yes, water. I keep saying to people that water is important as long as you eat cooked food, but not for hydration, but for cleaning your bowels. It helps to clean the bowels. That's all.
That's
Hmm.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
how was breastfeeding for your raw vegan pregnancy? Did you have any issues with breast milk production? Did you experience any postpartum depression after your raw vegan pregnancies? Did you experience postpartum when you weren't raw after your first one?
My experience after the first labor was just depression. I don't know if it was postpartum depression, but it was like a very terrible rabbit hole. But I use it to empower me for my next life. I don't like beating myself. I like going deep into what happened, why did it happen, how can I avoid this to happen in the future. And what brought me like a relief was because maybe for like 1 year I was blaming, doctors, medical system, and even my ex-husband or whoever. But then a thought crossed my mind, and the thought was, but are you aware that you were the one who went there? And I was
Right.
like, oh, okay, makes sense. And since that point, I was able to heal, not only physically, but, emotionally.
Mentally and
Uh,
emotionally, yeah.
because I had to admit that I was the one who went there. I was the one responsible. I cannot blame them. This is what they are taught to do. Um, but sorry, back to your question. Yeah, so after the first labor, it was just pure depression, whatever you want to call it. And I also realized, why do women experience like postpartum depression? Because they know something is not right, something was not right, and also they are dealing with a lot. And if you don't cook, like how much time and energy and effort you save. I
Yes.
can imagine when you have a small baby and you also have to cook and clean and everything is just like overwhelming. But if you cut off cooking and you just go to the grocery, buy fruits, or have them delivered home, like it saves you 80% of time. This is what most people spend their entire life thinking about: what to cook, how to cook it, what to buy for cooking it, what they are missing to cook it, uh, when to cook it, cooking, 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 and eating.
Yes. Absolutely.
And yeah, and also the breastfeeding is just smooth, like no inflammation, no um you can help me with some vocabulary when you have like problem with your breast
Oh yeah, the
during.
breast milk production.
I
Like
mean, when you're,
when it gets hard and it
yes,
does.
and painful and things like,
Yeah.
I did not experience any of that because there is no inflammation in my body.
Right.
Everything just works smoothly, and this is how it's supposed to work for everybody. We are not meant to suffer.
So you didn't take any m milk teas? You didn't take any like medicine for your breast milk production? What did you eat during your breastfeeding days?
Yeah, so after the labor, these two labors, Rovigan, bless you. I was juicing for a couple of days or maybe like 2 weeks, mostly juicing. It really gives your digestion a break, but you have the calories you need to function, to produce the milk. So juicing is optimum. Also, you find it hard to go to toilets, so you don't want to be pushing too much.
Right.
So juicing is like optimal from my perspective after the labor. And then slowly incorporating things like bananas. I eat very seasonally. So the first labor, the first baby was born in April, and that was already like watermelon season started, so I was eating watermelon. And the second baby was born in October, and that's like the watermelon is over, but we have apples and pears. So, and that's what I recommend to everyone starting, like eat uh, local and seasonal fruits and vegetables. That's the best you can do for your body.
Yes. And how did you feel after you gave birth? I mean, did you feel like super drained after you gave birth for your raw vegan pregnancy versus when you gave birth at like the hospital? What was your energy like?
Mm, my energy after the labor in the hospital was, I told you that I was really feeling violated. So I was really disconnected from my body and also from the baby. Yeah, it took me, I, they even offered me to, when they took the baby for the first nights, I did not even argue with them. I was so off that I just didn't care at all. Next day, I already started like coming back to myself, and they offered me to take the baby for the night, and I told them no, and they said, "But you need to sleep." And I'm like, "Yeah, I will sleep with my baby, okay? Thanks. There's no way you are taking him away again." Uh, but I was just feeling disconnected. Really, it was. I now understand why women have issues when it comes to bonding with their babies when the labors are done the way they are done. Because if you give birth naturally by yourself at home, no forces, just maybe a little help of doula or midwife, even if it's doctor, because there are a few doctors who are educated or compassionate or however we want to call it. But if it's not forced, you have no problem with bonding with the baby. So yeah, that's what the experience of two labors when I was alone. Like when the baby was born, it was just instant connection. And yes, you feel that your body is tired and you want to rest, but it's like a good tiredness. Just like if you go for a long run or work out at the gym, and it's like a deserved rest. It's not like the exhaustion that you just want to die. You know.
Oh man. And I think a lot of it comes from a lot of the IVs and things that they give the women in the hospitals too, because I'm sure their emotions are affected by, all the drugs and things that they're getting injected in their body. So that feeling that you felt of disconnection that first day, like, oh, they took my baby and I didn't care, versus when the drugs have probably was leaving your system and leaving your mind, that you're like now like, no, you can't take my baby. So that's actually very interesting. I never even thought about that until you just mentioned that. Wow. The way they do women, man, it's not right.
And the worst part is that this is how we are programmed. If you see a labor in the movie, it's a pain, it's stress, it's the woman is shouting, I don't know what, like everybody around is stressing, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it's very theatrical. It's very drama. And I'm gonna be honest, like watching those type of movies growing up, like I thought it was normal for women to scream until my doula had to remind me, like during the pregnancy when my labor when I was trying to scream. At that time I was plant-based, but I was moving towards raw at that time. And my doula, she was like, less screaming, more breathing. And instantly my mind just clicked and I just started deep breathing. And like you said, like just letting my body push the baby out and just letting it be like no screaming. And it was just a mind altering realization for me to realize, like, oh, screaming does nothing. It's just made up nonsense. And so much programming, so much programming. So, I want to talk about your period next. Before you went raw vegan, did you experience what were your periods like before raw vegan versus raw vegan?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, my diet was not so bad. So it was never like some women experience period that for 2 days they cannot even move and they have to just lie down. But I was feeling it, especially the first day was very uncomfortable. And if I had to go to school or to work, it was just, I was not feeling myself. A little bit pain, mm, on the scale from 1 to 10, maybe like 2. It was not too much, but I was feeling it. Definitely, I couldn't do sports or like that for 2, 3 days. But now, after years, 8 years, it's gonna be 9 years soon, being raw vegan. My period is just like it happens. like I have 2 days of very light. I don't even like calling it bleeding because it's just like a cleansing. I know that it's happening. I feel it just like a little pressure, just like when you get pregnant and the first month you feel something inside. It's not pain, but before your belly starts growing, you feel that something is going on, but it does not limit you in your life. You can continue with anything you want to do.
Yes, I saw that video you posted when you're like day two on my period and you're like bouncing up and down and jumping. I'm like, yeah, period. I'm like, this is how all women should be, right?
Yeah, and what is very sad is that most people don't want to hear.
Mm,
I am not really in touch with a lot of people. But sometimes, I meet people in the office or wherever I go.
mhm,
And when they start complaining about, oh, I got my period, I have such a terrible cramps, or when they are complaining about their pregnancies and how much weight they gain and whatever, sometimes you try to tell them something. Hey, it doesn't have to be that way,
yeah.
but the look on their faces is like, it's just like,
No,
no.
let me suffer. Let
Yeah,
me
I
suffer. I
want my
want to
suffering.
suffer. What is up with that? I feel exactly the same because when I try to share with my family who's having painful periods, painful this, and I'm telling them, like, just stop eating the stuff that causes them. And then, oh, I'll just drink some tea. I'll just drink, or, it's okay. I'll just use a heating pad. Or it's like they want to suffer. Like that's just how deep that programming is. It's like suffer, 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 and then you'll get your reward when you die.
Yeah, first people love their suffering because that's like where their thoughts are. And for some people, it's already like identity, and they cannot imagine being without that identity. Like if they are not suffering, who they are.
Wow.
And the second thing I observed is that it's not about food. It's like if you accept that you were lied about such important thing as your diet and nutrition, because this is what they teach us at school, right? From, I don't know, first grade. You need to eat. We have these
Food
pyramids,
pyramid, yes.
and you have meat and bread and everything. So if your mind has to accept that this all was lie, then what else was a lie?
Right.
And this is like a snowball, and people don't want to go there. So it's not even about raw food. It's about, let me just be here just like a bug under a rock.
Hmm.
Because if I accept that raw food is, or we were lied about
Right.
food, what else were we lied about? And they might discover that like their entire life is a lie, and people are not ready for that.
That is a really good point you made because it is a snowball effect. It's not just about the food, it's about the awakenings and discovering that everything that you were taught is a lie. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Matrix movie, but in the Matrix, when the main character discovers everything was a lie, he's like, I don't want to accept it. Like, send me back, you know? And that's literally how people are because it's not just about the food, like you said. Now it's about, maybe their faith. Maybe they started off in a religion and then they started changing the way they eat and now they're in tune with everything. They see through a different lens now and they realize that is a lie too, and that is also a lie. And now I'm going to be completely shut off and cut off from my family, my community, and I have to go on this journey like alone, almost like a philosopher's journey, like a hero's journey, to discover the truth. And like you said, most people don't want to go through it. That's why I love that the women and the men who are like raw vegan, it's like, yeah, it's like you know what it's like. You know what it takes to stick with the lifestyle. You know what you need to do. You rather stick with it and be in the truth than to be a part of the herd.
Yeah, and I want to encourage everyone who is at the beginning of their journey that there is this period of isolation. I like calling it isolation. When you feel lonely, when you feel isolated, when you feel like you have no one around you, no one to understand you. But this period of time is very important for you to do the inner work. And after that, right people will come.
That is so powerful and true. That's how I found your community. That's how I found other communities. And that's why I created my own community, especially for moms, because I'm like, more women need to experience raw living lifestyle for birthing and after. So I love that. And I want to talk a little bit about your two raw vegan children. So, how are you raising your children to eat sun food, and how are they compared to other children as far as their health?
Their health is exceptional. The only thing they experienced so far was like runny nose once a year. What
Wow,
I,
once a year.
yeah,
Wow.
even now we had like a flu season in my country, and my older one, she started going to kindergarten because she's very social. She likes going there, and I can pack her own food. So I was like, okay, go ahead, you can try it. And she didn't get flu, even though like all of her classmates were getting sick one by one.
Wow.
So that's, but this like runny nose or some mucus coming is, I, even if you eat the cleanest food on earth, we are still not immune to, smoke in the environment. We still use some products time to time, like to a dishwasher or whatever. So our body still needs to clean something time
Yeah.
to time. So, but it's just like a mucus coming from their nose, no fever, no, they don't have to lie down for 3 days like I used to when I was kid. Mm, so that's the worst thing. There is one thing I learned along the way, and I learned the hard way, and that's about oral health because my older one, she has some cavities,
Mhm.
and that was first we didn't have like a proper oral care. Uh, so I started brushing like forcefully after that. And also, a lot of people, there are not many people who can truly tell you what is a balanced raw vegan diet. There are a lot of fruitarians out there, but they were not pregnant and they are not raising kids. So, if there is one thing I have to say and share to mothers is that leafy greens and mineral rich foods are important. Maybe adults can function without them, even though most fruitarians I know suffer from hair loss or something like that. So they are obviously lacking some minerals,
Mm.
even if they don't want to accept it. And me too. I was in the beginning, I got this advice that leafy greens are not important. We cannot digest them, and we are not cows, etc. So I was avoiding them, like I was really avoiding them. And I see it on my older daughter's
Mm,
teeth. So we started incorporating more mineral-rich foods like leafy greens. I don't know, cucumber, celery juice, sometimes more seeds, some sprouts, and it stopped.
nice.
So we managed to stabilize her teeth.
Yeah.
Now the other one is already okay. Her teeth are fine.
Okay. See, so that's good information because, like you said, the fruitarians that are out there, they don't have children. So I'm glad that you are actually creating. I think you talked about writing a book soon and releasing that. So for mom, raw mama, so I can't wait for that to be done. I would love a copy. Are you still working on that?
Yeah, I'm working on so many things at a time. I also have like I work with arts, so like an art gallery,
Hmm.
and also sharing my raw vegan wisdom with people. I
Nice.
have two kids. We have a bunny now, but yeah, every evening I do something for my books.
Mm,
Like at least few minutes. I'm putting it all down. So
nice.
hopefully it's gonna be.
Yay. Okay, okay. We have a few more questions. Okay. So we talked about your children, how they're eating. So what do your kids usually eat? Like what are some of like their favorite foods and like what they usually eat or crave during a day, depending on like the season, whether it's like summertime, they might eat more of certain things versus like in the winter, like now. What are they usually eating?
Yes, so when kids are raised on raw food, they truly crave seasonal things.
Mm.
So during summer, we always have watermelon. Like I buy a big watermelon, and that's gonna be like 80% of what we eat. I cut it into half, I put it on the table, and every time they go around, they take
They
some with the
crave,
spoon.
yeah.
Then we have a season of, apricots, peaches, apples, pears. So they truly follow their intuition.
Mm.
What is the best thing you can do is help your kids to connect with the source. So if you don't have a garden, like the best thing you can do is to have a garden and plant a lot of trees and bushes, like make it like an edible forest. I like calling it edible forest.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, visit your grandparents or your friends in the village. Or what we do is that we walk around, and I already have this like sixth sense for finding trees and bushes. Even in the city center, there are like mulberry trees, and it's like maybe 1 month or it's like 2 3 weeks during a year where these mulberries are nice and ripe. So every day we go there with kids and we eat it. And there are people, looking at us like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we are eating mulberries." "And is that edible?" I'm like, "Oh, yes, it's edible. Are we not going to get poisoned?" And the person is holding, Coca-Cola in their hand or something. So, like, if you don't get poisoned by this Coca-Cola that you are drinking, you are not going to get poisoned by mulberries. So you can also walk around, find the trees, make it fun for your kids. And if not, fruits, everybody should grow at least some herbs at home to help kids to connect with and to know how actually food grows, how it's done.
Yeah, that's a good point because children think, oranges come from the orange juice box at the grocery store. Like they don't have that connection, like you were saying, that it comes from an actual tree and it's actually a fruit, So I love that you say that you need to make that connection to source. And I feel like that's absolutely important. We have a little garden in our backyard. Even though we're renting, I have grow bags filled with tomatoes, and my daughter goes out there and she picks and she has her shovel and stuff. And I do the same thing you do. I know everyone in my neighborhood who has a papaya tree. I know everyone who has like an avocado, who has mango, and I'm just like waiting and I go and ask them like for fruit and stuff. And yeah, it's so great, especially on this lifestyle. I've been raw vegan for 3 months consistently now, but I've been attempting for like 4 years of like trial and error and just like roller coaster up and down. And I finally found a method that stuck, but I honestly wish I had a coach like you or like another raw vegan mom or just like another raw vegan someone that I can reach out to. So how important is that for people to have someone to reach out to versus wasting X amount of years trying to figure it out?
Yeah, that's like, I can't even say the importance. I wish I had someone like me, not only because the information about the food, I had someone who told me a lot of things, but a lot of things were not correct. So I had to try them myself and learn the hard way. As I later found out, the person had a lot of knowledge from the books, but no experiences.
Mm,
And even though the person claims to have experiences, he doesn't. So I had to learn the hard way and try it all by myself. So if I had someone who can tell me, and it's not only about the food, it's also about how to deal with people around you, your mindset, how to work with your emotions, and many, many other things that come along the way. Because you will definitely experience detox if you try to transition to raw vegan diet or fruitarian diet. And the detox is not going to be only physical, it's going to be emotional. um, and so many people give up
yeah,
along the way because of those things. But if you have someone um, who can give you the insights you need, I work with people, I actually coach people to, I currently work with Shane Sterling in his Raw Vegan Heroes. And so I am in touch with hundreds of people worldwide on their path. And sometimes all they need is just like one sentence. I work with people very, other coaches ask me like, okay, what do you say to people? And da, da, da. I can't tell you because I work very intuitively. Some people need to know raw vegan recipes and that's enough for them. Some people need to learn how to work with their emotions. Some people need some insights about relationships. Some people need some insights about how to find their purpose. Because without that, raw vegan path is not sustainable.
yeah.
It's going to push you to your purpose. And if you don't work with that, you are not going to achieve anything.
Mm.
So, yeah, I wish I had someone like me when I was transitioning as well.
Seriously, and what you said that raw vegan lifestyle will push you to your purpose. That is absolutely factual. I've not only felt that within myself, but I've seen it in other people on this journey. Like they realize that they hate their jobs that they're at. They hate going in, they hate sitting, and they realize they don't want to be in around here. They don't want to be in the environment anymore. And they're thinking of, crazy ideas as far as like packing up, moving, selling their house, like getting out of there and walking in their true purpose. Like they know what their purpose is now. They're like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be here. And because I've done X amount of days on green juice or X amount of days on living foods, it's like now I have the courage to actually do it versus it just being like a thought in the back of their mind, like, oh, I wish maybe one day kind of thing. It's like now that you're fueled on fruits, now you actually have the courage to walk in your purpose, like you mentioned. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and also, as long as you are eating cooked food, you are numbing yourself. so you can manage to go to that job because you are not feeling it that way. It's like being consistently a little bit drunk, a little bit tipsy. So you can somehow do it. But once your mind and brain is clean, like 100% clean, it's like you feel every second of your life. You can't go somewhere for 9 hours and just, survive it. Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. Oh my gosh. Numbing yourself with cooked food. When people say like they fall off the raw lifestyle and they go back to the cooked foods, it's because they can't handle that emotional side, right? And then the cooked foods numb them and they're like, oh, that's all I needed. Now I don't need to talk about my emotions. I don't need to deal with them. The food has handled that side. So wow. That's amazing. I really like the way you put that. So what would you say to people who say things like their parents and they're like, my kids just won't eat healthy or fruits. Like they hate salads, they might be toddlers or maybe a little older or maybe even teens. So how can parents set their children up to like healthy foods, even though we're supposed to be eating it? But what would you say to parents who say like, my kids hate fruits. They won't eat it.
Yeah, there are so many things I would say, like I could talk for 3 hours about it. But first thing is we need to understand that it's not their kids who don't like it. It's the microbiome they built in their digestion. I mean, parents did it, right? And this microbiome is used to be eating, I don't know, cooked food, junk food, whatever food they're used to. It takes time to microbiome to adapt to be eating and digesting raw food. So they can do it gradually. First thing I would do is to find fruits that those kids like. It might take time. And also, for example, my kids, like, they don't like every fruit. I have to buy two different type of pears when I buy pears,
Yeah.
because one of them like this type of pear and the other one like this type of pear. So you really have to find those fruits. So instead of finding excuses and why I can't do it, start looking for ways how you can do it. So find, get a good quality fruits. It's either, I don't know, whatever you like and whatever is available. It's papaya, watermelon, bananas, like this. Uh, Exotic fruits are very shitty in my country, like mangoes and papayas, etc. So I wouldn't go for that. Yeah, we can get good mangoes, but they are very expensive. And I'm not even talking about papayas that, like, I eat it time to time, but it's not good. But get the fruits that are really like top quality, ripe, and give this to your kids. Another thing is that do it when they are hungry, not like fill them with everything and then on the top of that try to give them fruits. And when it comes to smaller kids, we have to realize that we have the power. Like, from tomorrow, I can say no junk food in the house. Maybe they will cry for 2 days, but that's just like an withdrawal symptoms of an addict. Right? You can't do this with a teenager. It's going to be a little bit tougher. Um, but yeah, we hold the power. This is our household. And just like you don't give them, once you realize that it's not good for you and for your kids, why do you keep giving it? Just imagine it's just the same like with alcohol. You know, it's not good for kids, right? Would you give your child, just a little? You wouldn't.
No, absolutely not.
And if you were doing it and today you realize that it's not good, you wouldn't give it tomorrow because the child is used to it.
Right.
So we really have to set up the boundaries. Sometimes with teenagers, it's a little bit different. It can be, and also explain. With small kids, it can be, oh, can't eat this because this is exactly what is causing you your pains in your belly. You remember the last time you had pain in your belly? It's because of this. Mommy doesn't want to give it to you. Let's eat, I don't know, fruits instead. With bigger kids, you can go deeper. You can explain about macronutrients, how the body works, so use the language that the kid is going to understand and make it fun. Pick raw vegan recipes, make an ice cream from frozen bananas and strawberries. You can, what I did in the beginning was that I got a lot of books with raw vegan recipes, even though I don't need to make like gourmet meals for myself. I can just eat fruits. But with kids, it really makes a difference. So I went through those books, I picked recipes that were like nice looking and with ingredients that were available for us, and make one recipe each day, make it fun, engage kids. They love it. Yeah. And lead by example.
That's what I was gonna add on to say. I was gonna say these children, especially toddlers and teenagers, they're like, you're telling me to eat these foods, but you're still eating, or you're telling me not to eat these unhealthy foods, but then you're still eating it. So be the example, parents. Yes, be the example. If you want your kids to eat healthy, lead by example. I love that. And what you said about making it fun, my daughter loves the little cutout shapes, like the shape cutters. So I would slice like melons and then she would do the shapes with the melons like for hours. And she would leave, she would like leave for a minute, go play, and then she would come back and like do more shapes and then we eat it. And I mean, so simple, so fun if it ever gets boring, but I mean, children naturally gravitate to fruit. I've been on so many outings with like other moms who don't eat like all fruits, and I'm the one with like the whole lunchbox full of fruits, and I just lay it out on the table and it's gone. They ignore the dry snacks or whatever they brought, and they're just eating all of the fruits every time. It works every time. So kids naturally gravitate towards fruits. Yes.
As long as there is a point where their microbiome is already so damaged that they don't. For some kids, it's at the age of 3. For some, it's at the age of 10. But it happens eventually.
Yeah, but something would happen hopefully down the line where, they get like us, where we're like, I don't care anymore. Like this is the best thing that I found. So hopefully they have that euphoric moment.
And
So,
yeah, extra tip: you have to become the type of person that when people see you, they just want to become like you. They
mm,
don't want to become you. But for example, me, when I go to a playground with my kids, it's like I see all the mummies and all the kids that are already, at the age of, I don't know, 8 plus, that
mm,
are looking at their environment, not just playing, that they are interested because my hair is long, my
mm.
nails are nice, my skin is perfect, I don't have excess weight, I'm always smiling, I don't get sick even if they meet me every day. I don't have headache, I'm not complaining about anything. See? So, and
Yes,
people will start asking questions.
absolutely, absolutely. I've had so many moms come to me like, how are you staying so small? Like you just had a baby, like, and she's 3, or at that time I think she was like 1 or something. And there was like, I want to be skinny like you. And I'm just like, just eat fruits. So like that is so true what you said. Like when they see like how you look, how your skin is clear, how you don't complain about headaches and period cramps and like all the normal things, it's like they absolutely get interested. 100%. So looking back, would you have done anything differently? And if so, what? What would you have done sooner, maybe?
The only thing I would have done differently would be no, like, no, I don't regret anything because everything I experienced was a lesson. But if there is an advice I can give to people is about dealing with the environment, because I was trying to convince anyone, everyone, and I was oversharing, and I was, once it clicked into my head and I had the experience, I was not aware that everybody has their own timing, and some people might not even come to this point of or this level of awareness and consciousness. I was really trying to convince everyone. And it caused me a lot of troubles when it comes to relationships. So, what I can say and advise is to protect yourself, protect your peace. That's the most important thing, and let the results speak by themselves.
I love that answer. Let the results speak for themselves and protect your peace. That is some good advice right there because I got so excited as well and I wanted everyone in my family. I'm like, this is how you need to eat. I'm like hammering it into them. And it got to the point where, they didn't want to be around me anymore because I'm always like judging them, with my fruit and stuff. And so yeah. That is amazing, amazing advice. Okay, any other things that you want to mention or anything at all that you just want to talk about?
I don't even know. Keep it simple.
And you do
Keep
mono meals of food too, right?
Yeah, we do like 90% mono fruits, and we have like one smoothie a day where I put things that I consider to be crucial for my kids, like which they wouldn't just eat by themselves, like a hemp seeds or things like that. So we
Yeah,
have this one smoothie. Apart from that, we eat very simple. That's the best thing you can do for your body and for your health.
I love that. Well, your skin, it looks beautiful. Your hair is beautiful. Like you're just glowing. You're the poster child for health, right? So
You
thank you.
too.
Oh, it's only been 3 months. Me too.
It's the transformation is fast when you eat the proper diet.
I love that. Thank you. I can't wait to be 8 years. I mean, wow. What my life would look like 8 years raw vegan from now. I might be on an island, honestly.
We might meet on an island soon.
Woo! Let's do it. I'm already in Florida, so it's a bit a lot more tropical here, but my family's from the Caribbean, and Florida is like the furthest north we've ever went. And it doesn't get that cold here, but I want just that tropical lifestyle year round, where I can just go out and my neighbors, every single one of my neighbors have just like fruit trees because it's just abundant. If you, I know you said your husband's from Africa too, so I'm sure when you go to Africa, you're gonna find so many fruits and different varieties of just exotic fruit over there, but you're probably gonna move there first. But
Yeah,
yes.
very likely. That's why I'm working on my online income so that I can move freely.
Yes, that is so good. And you say you're part of Shane's group. I'm gonna join something I think with Tracy Dragon Mama. She has a coaching program as well in March. So I'm gonna get on with that so I can do the same thing, build the online community and things like that. So so many great things to look forward to. I love it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming on and answering all these questions. I hope this has inspired all of our viewers to take that first step in responsibility in our health because conversation like these matters. What we're told as being normal is not the only option. The pain and all these prerequisites of women suffering through our periods, women suffering being mothers, that suffering is not a badge of honor, ladies. It's not something we wear proudly to show how strong we are, okay? This is so important for women who are listening to know that there is another option. There's a healthy option. There's a natural option that was created and designed by the creator just for us. So thank you again, Slava, for your time, your openness, and your truth. And I really hope that some women take this advice fully to their souls or at least just sit with it. But I want to close with a beautiful mantra. So, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think suffering is normal, then it will be. But if you think just for a moment that something doesn't feel right, trust that intuition. As women, we have an amazing gift of instinct and intuition that is our guide. It leads us to the best possibility. It's so self loving and it's so true to the source. And in my opinion, I think it comes from the source. And we are leaders as women to guide not only ourselves, not only our family, but the communities and the countries of this world. And I want to live in this reality. So that's why we are partnering and cultivating spaces like this for women. So if you found any value in this, please like and share this video to people who need it. Because tonight was proof that when we come together as women and we come into our instinct and our intuition, amazing things happen, not just in our lives, but the people around us. So thank you everyone for joining and listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, and I'll see you next time for another Raw and Reborn Mamas.
Have a nice weekend. So